Hey guys, this is James, fitness and sports instructor here with PSP Kingston, coming at you with another virtual workout class. So today's class is going to be a core slash midline training session. So we're going to be looking at core midline training for today's class. So before we get rolling and do some demos and get into the warm-up, just a couple quick reminders and talk throughs here. So for your safety, please ensure to read the full disclaimer that is located in the description below this video before you start this virtual training class. And then another quick reminder that if you do sustain any injury during this session, please make sure to seek medical attention and to fill out a CF98. So. Now that we're through that, I'm just going to talk you through the session a little bit, and then we will get going. So for today's session, what we're going to do is we're going to run through 5 rounds for quality of 3 core midline movements. So just a quick talk through on that. So doing rounds for quality rather than rounds for time, we're going to take our time with the movements, especially with midline core training. The goal here is more to kind of focus on the movement patterns and getting some good connection with that core and finding good movement patterns, rather than trying to rush through it and kind of get through as fast as you can. So, rounds for quality, we're going to take our time as we go through, nice generous rest periods in between to make sure we get set up well, and take our time for the movements on each one, right? Rather than just trying to complete the exercise. So we'll cue that through as we're going through. So our 3 movements we're going to run through, we're going to use a band, and we're going to do a Band Pallof press, which I'll demo that one in a sec. We're going to do 5 per side. We're going to do Dumbbell Renegade Row. So again, for that one, you need a pair of dumbbells. They should be lighter dumbbells. So 15, 20, 25. Sometimes maybe you'll see people doing Renegade Rows with heavier weights. Sometimes there's a purpose to that, or if it's RX'd in that manner, but for this particular one, we're going to use something a little bit lighter so that we can keep the midline a little bit more engaged and a little bit in a better spot. So again, a light set of dumbbells, and if you can, it's best if they are a hex one rather than a full round. To do with a full round is going to be really tricky to kind of stabilize, as you'll see later. So if you have them with a hex or a side to them, it's a little bit better. And the other thing we're going to be doing is a weighted dead bug. So for the weighted dead bug, you just need a light pair of weight plates. So for those light pair of weight plates, usually like a pair of 2.5s or a pair of 5s is sufficient. You can try and go up to a pair of 10s, but a pair of 10s is pretty tricky, especially with moving. Again, we're trying to focus on that quality. So a quick demo of each one of the movements. So we're going to start with Band Pallof press. So again, just find a spot for the band, stabilize it, get a little bit of tension there. You're going to face perpendicular, and you're just pressing out and back in. And when you press out, you're just resisting the rotation of the band. So as you press out, keep the core engaged. Try not to overextend or overflex, just keep it nice and tight. And when it presses out, you're increasing that distance. It's going to try and rotate you in. So just resisting that rotation. So again, 5 per side. So we're going to do this way, and then we're going to reposition the band. We're going to press this way so that the tension is coming from the other side. Okay, so that's our Band Pallof press. Our next exercise, we got our Dumbbell Renegade Row. So with this one, you're going to set your dumbbells up. You're going to start at the top of push-up position, feet wide on this one here, right? So you're not having feet together. Feet are going to be in a wide shape. Hands right underneath. You're pulling the dumbbell up, return, and then alternate back and forth. So again, we're keeping things simple. That one's going to be 5 per side as well. So just for simplicity's sake, we're keeping the numbers the same. So 5 reps per side. Again, take your time, nice and slow on the pull. So again, the weight should be light enough that you don't have to jerk the weight up. You're able to slowly raise, lower, focusing again more on that midline engagement as that dumbbell moves and the weight moves. Key thing on that one again is resisting of rotation, preventing your hips from swaying when you lift the dumbbell, as well as preventing yourself from going into too much flexion. So again, keeping the core engaged, not trying to round out through the back. And then our next one, again, a little bit of anti-rotation, and this one's more anti-extension. We're gonna go with weighted dead bug. So again, we got our two light dumbbells here. So with the dead bug exercise, feet at 90 degrees to start, hands straight up. You're gonna extend the opposite leg, opposite arm till you're fully extended, coming back to the top, and then switching to the other side. And that's our weighted dead bug. So, with the weighted dead bug, key form, cue, and again, we'll cue stuff as we go through, is just trying to push your lower back to the floor, trying to resist extension, pushing that lower back up off the floor when you start to lower away with that hand and foot position. So those are 3 movements. For the weighted dead bug, we're gonna go 5 per side as well. So again, 5 per side on everything, 10 total, and 5 rounds through on everything. So that's how we're gonna run through. So because these are pretty all-encompassing exercises, well, actually, sorry, before we run into the warm-up, just a quick reminder. We're not going to do any music here right now with the environment, but if you're at home and you want to throw some music on as you're going through, you know, just make sure it's not too loud. You can still hear the video, but yeah, absolutely throw some music on. We're just not playing music because of the environment, and also just with copyright issues, we don't want to have the video get blocked or anything like that. So play your own music at home if you want to, you know, a little bit of something extra in the background to kind of get you motivated. So as we go into the warm-up, because we've got some midline stuff, but a little bit of it's more encompassing, a little bit of like a full body kind of thing, we're just going to do a nice general full body warm-up here to start off. So nothing crazy, but just something to get moving. So starting from a standing upright position, just starting off with some forward arm circles. 5 forward, and then we're going to switch to backward. Going back to forwards again. And backwards one more time for 5. Check that out. We're just going to do some crossbody arm swings. Again, 5. And swinging up through extension and flexion, we're going to do 5. Crossbody arm swings again. And one more time through the flexion extension. Cool, that's good. So just that quick little upper body piece there. We're gonna move into some midline. So starting off, just some light trunk rotations. 5 per side. And then we're gonna move into a little bit of a flexion extension drill. So reaching up to the ceiling, down to the floor. And we're gonna go back to trunk rotations one more time. Again, 5 per side. And our flexion extension drill, again, 5. Reaches up for the ceiling and then down to the floor. Okay, take a minute, shake that out again. A little bit of posterior chain warm up there too with the overhead reach to the floor. So now we're gonna, again, working our way down, the little midline warm up, general stuff. So now we're gonna work on some lower body. Just starting off nice and easy, alternating knee hugs. We're just gonna do 3 per side here. And then we're gonna switch to quad stretch. So again, just a brief hold, 3 per side, alternating back and forth. Good, back to knee hugs. Side, good, and then switching to your quad stretch. Perfect. Shake that out again. So next up, we're gonna do 5 alternating back and forth lunges. We're just gonna warm up the hip flexor, just so we have some full range of motion, especially on those dead bugs, to be able to raise, lower the leg without any kind of impingement from any type hip flexors. So just a big step forward, knee to ground, reach up, across, step back, switch to the other side. So again, just alternate back and forth here at your pace. Going for 5 per side. Perfect, stand up, get that a quick shake out. And we're just gonna do quick, two a little bit more specific drills. So we're gonna start off with a more specific midline drill. So what we're gonna do here, we're just gonna go cat, cow, cobra. If you're familiar with yoga, just do a little bit of flexion extension again, just to kind of warm up the midline. So pushing back, rounding out, and then coming into some spinal extension. We're just gonna alternate back and forth and do 5. So again, 5 of each. So again, 5 of the flexion, 5 of the extension. I'm just gonna give this a second here if anybody's catching up. Again, for the warm up, just move through at your pace. You don't have to go too fast. Again, we're just warming up. So if you need that extra second there, just to kind of get through a couple extra reps. And then we're gonna do one extra little full body drill. Not really necessary for this session, but a good thing just kind of pop in there. You know, no reason to not do a little bit of extra mobility stuff here and there when you're warming up, just to kind of, you know, get things moving and improve your mobility overall. So we're just gonna do a Spider-Man lunge with rotation, alternating back and forth. So setting up in the top of a push-up position, bring the foot up beside the hand, drop the elbow down, rotate that hand up, hand down, switch over. Same thing on the other leg. And we're just gonna repeat 5 per side again. So you can take your time here, just warming up. A little extra mobility stuff here. When you bring that foot forward, try and get it nice and straight beside the hand. And drop the elbow down, rotate up. When you do that rotation, try and open up the chest. So one more per side for me here. Again, move through at your pace. Perfect. So again, just take a second here, wait till anybody needs to catch up. Again, make sure you got some water there if you have it. So, have that little minute to catch up. You got a couple extra reps to get through there on the warm up. Grab a quick drink. Again, throw some music on if you want to. Again, the intensity on this one's not super high. So again, we're focusing more on movement patterns and stuff like that here. So that warm up, nice general piece. We didn't really have to jump into anything to really warm anything up. The movements are nothing that needs any kind of progression of warm up too. So we can just jump right into them, okay? So we're gonna start that first round here. So again, setting up your band, getting some tension on that band. And again, resisting that rotation. Little brief pause in that full extended position where you're gonna get that maximal kind of resistance on that band. So I'm switching position. The easiest way is just turn around. I just don't want to go back to camera, so the easy way to just be switch around. You want to line those handles up so they're roughly chest height. So again, 5 per side. Back out of there. Cool. So, give you a second there if you need to catch up. When you do the press, try not to focus, it's not really like a pressing exercise, you're more just kind of moving the hands with the resistance of the band. So it's not really a press like a chest press, but just try and move the hands in and out. So next up, we're gonna go Renegade Row. We'll do this from the side on this first set here. So again, setting up from the top. So again, 5 per side. Nice, slow and controlled. Again, brace that core, resist that rotation. Cool. 5 per side on that one there. So again, depending on your space, maybe move some stuff out of the way. So again, try to focus on that good movement quality. So we're gonna take some rests in between each one as we go through. So our next piece, we got the weighted dead bugs. So again, just that lightweight, like a weight plate. Even if you have to use dumbbells, dumbbells are fine as well, just as long as they're light enough. Again, like 2.5 to 5 pounds is usually good for most people. Maybe up to 10. 10's gonna be a challenge if you want that. But again, just make sure you're still getting good movement quality. So you're gonna extend those opposite arms and legs. A little brief pause at that full extension. And if you can, try and sync up that arm and leg extension so they're roughly going at the same pace. It's a little tricky to do. One more per side here, and 5 per side, 10 total. Perfect, right on. Okay, so there's our first round through. So again, take a minute. You need to grab a drink or anything like that. We'll take a little bit of extra rest between each round. So first round through. Again, we're gonna series through 5 total sets as we go through. So yeah, we're keeping those reps nice and clean, high movement quality. Starting back off on that Pallof press again. So again, band should be roughly chest height. Again, just try and move the hands, don't push it away. It's not really a chest exercise. You're trying to more just kind of displace the weight. So setting up, a little bit of a wide stance, get that core nice and engaged. Press out, back in. Try and keep it nice and straight. And resist that rotation from the band. 5 on the one side. And then setting up the other direction. Cool, so there's our set on the Pallof press. Take a quick minute to set yourself up on your Renegade row. We'll go straight on this set, just changing the angles, get a different view. So again, your Renegade row, set your feet up, give yourself some width, help a little bit with stabilizing. Hands should be right underneath the shoulders, just like a push-up. Again, 5 per side. Cool, awesome. Second set done there. So yeah, so key thing on those Renegade rows, when you go to lift that weight, it's gonna destabilize your core, and you kind of have to move through that motion. So that's just getting that core braced and trying to resist that hip drop, which is just gonna be a natural kind of compensation that your body would do. But we're gonna use that midline to resist it on this exercise. So it's good exercise for core functionality. A lot of times when you go to lift something, you need to brace your core against kind of an unbalanced object like a child if you have to pick them up. So that kind of gives you that idea there. All right, moving to second set, dead bugs. So again, starting hands straight, knees at 90. Again, brief pause when you get to that full extension. And again, trying to push that lower back into the floor. Try not to fully de-weight when you do the touch. Just the touch so you know you've gotten the distance. One more per side here. Perfect. All right, 2 rounds down. And we're going 5 rounds total. Just a quick talk through on that bracing the midline. That's just kind of bringing that rib cage a little bit tucked down to get the midline engaged. And that's just prevent that extensive extension to the lower back. So it's just this position here. And that's really important on this Pallof press exercise. So it's just establishing that brace midline position before you go and move against that rotation. All right, so we're moving into round 3 here. Good. So again, 5 per side, really try and shoot down the middle. So when you're pressing that, really try and shoot down the middle when you're pressing away. All right, 3rd set done. When you're doing that Pallof press, big thing there too, you should feel that core engagement and that resistance on the rotation. If you're not, you might just need a little bit more tension on the band. So that's just kind of shift a little farther away from your anchor point to get a little bit more tension. As soon as you start to move that away, you should feel that core have to engage. Otherwise, it's gonna start yanking you towards that anchor point. So, all right, so we're going back to our Renegade Row. Set number 3, we'll go 45 degrees on this one. Just make sure I got the foot space here. So again, 5 per side. Engage that core on each lift. All right. Oh, there's 3rd set down on the Renegade Row. So again, as we're going through these rounds, you know, first round might have been a little on the easier side. You're gonna start accumulating some fatigue. So this is where you're gonna have to kind of focus a little bit more on your movement patterns to keep that movement quality staying high. So next up, going back to our weighted dead bug. 5 per side. Try and sync that section. Again, take your time in this exercise. 2-3 seconds down, 2-3 seconds up. And when you lower that opposite leg, try and keep that bent knee in the same position, don't let it change. Cool. So again, 5 per side. That might have been 6. I think I lost count there, but I'll have to rewatch it later and see what that was. It was either 5 or 6 maybe, but try and shoot for 5. Okay, so we're 3 rounds down, 2 rounds to go. So again, you might be starting to accumulate a little bit of fatigue. Again, the intensity's not super high, but we are putting a bit of a high demand on our midline with these really targeted exercises. So although the intensity's not high, you might be starting to feel that cumulative effect on that midline. So keep that in mind, especially on these later sets, to keep that movement quality where it needs to be. All right, starting off round number 4. So we're going round 4, so we got 2 more rounds, 2 more sets to run everything. So these are your last couple sets here. So fight, resist that rotation on this Pallof press. All right, we're switching to the opposite side. Try and always start on the same side. Just kind of keeps things balanced as you go through. Okay, keep that core nice and braced against that resistance. Oh, perfect. If you have multiple band resistances at home, if you have a couple sets, this one's definitely one to go a little bit lighter and just add some resistance with the distance. This one's actually, I wish it was a little bit stretchier, had a little less resistance. I could move a little farther away and kind of tailor it off a little bit better. This one's a little tight that I've only got just a short range that I can really get out, but that's what we grabbed today. So again, if you've got a couple sets, aim on the lighter side, or if you want to do a switch off in between, that's cool too. So if you got that, that's a good idea. All right, so back to our Renegade Row. Move that 45 set, we'll go the opposite direction this time. Taking a wide stance, hands under shoulders. Try to bring those hands up towards the rib cage. That's kind of what you're shooting for there. As you pull up. Cool, perfect. So, give everyone a second there if you need to finish off. So again, yeah, when you're pulling up, drive that elbow back, bring the hand towards your rib cage. You don't want to come too high, you don't want to be pulling up towards the neck. It should be a straight shot just underneath that shoulder. Just driving that elbow up and bring that hand in. All right. Finish off that 4th set on the way to dead bug here. So you can take a minute if you gotta catch that breather. Set here, so focusing on that movement quality. Again, try and drive that lower back into the floor to keep that core good position. And when that leg extends, try and keep that opposite leg bent in the same position. Don't let it get pulled or pushed in any direction. Kind of last count here again, so I think this might be 5, might be 6. All right. All right, 4 rounds down there. So 4 down, 1 to go. Again, you might be starting to feel some of that accumulated fatigue with those extra sets. So what we'll do here, actually quick as a little aside, before we move into that last round, is we will, we're gonna do a quick little midline piece here, just like we warmed up. We're just gonna do it real quick, 3, moving from that child's pose, flexion, and then into that extension pose. Just real quick through 3 sets, just to kind of get that midline moving again. So round out and extend. If you need a couple extra, take a couple extra there. Just to kind of get that midline moving again in a good position, and that way when we're actually doing the exercises, that midline's not, over-exerted, over tight. When its muscles get tight sometimes, you get in a weird position. So just a quick little one there, just before we get into our last set. Give it a little bit of extra rest for this last one here. So we're going round 5. So these are going to be your last sets on each one. So again, you've had 4 practice rounds, so you got a good feel for how much tension, where you want your positioning and stuff like that. So these will be the real clean ones, especially with that last little bit. So again, set your feet on your Pallof press there, get your core nice and engaged, get that tension. Try and get a brief pause there in that extended position. 5. Take a breather on the switch. And handle should be roughly in line mid-chest. Last set here on the mid Pallof press. All right, there's set 5 on your Pallof press. So that's the last one there. So we'll take a minute here. So we got just those 2 more exercises. We got 1 more set of our Renegade Row. We got 1 more set on our weighted dead bug, and then we're done for the day. So again, that overall intensity, relatively low for this session. But that specific intensity, because we are primarily utilizing our midline, is relatively high. So keep that in mind, especially as you get these later sets here. Really focus in. Try not to let any of the movement get sloppy or anything like that. So Dumbbell Renegade Row, last set here, 5 per side again, sticking with the same numbers. So again, get that midline set. So you don't want to be rounded up, you don't want to be too sunk down. Get that core engaged. Side here. Again, resist that rotation when you lift that dumbbell. All right, here's set 5 done on our Renegade Row. That's the last one there. And we got 1 more set to run through on our weighted dead bug. So again, arms extended, legs roughly at 90 degrees, extend out nice and slow, brief pause. This is your last set on your last exercise here. So 5 per side. Take your time on this last set here. Don't let that movement quality break down. Take a brief pause if you need to. All right, there's our 5 rounds. 5 rounds, 5 sets on each one. So that is it. So we're just gonna do, again, overall intensity was pretty low. So we're just gonna do like a brief cool down here. So we're just gonna take the first minute here, a little bit passive, just grab some water. So again, quick talk through. Again, all those were very multifunctional midline core exercises. A lot of movement involved, moving weight around, which does transfer over really well when you need to use some of that core or midline in your day-to-day life. So that's what's nice about these types of exercises. Vice more of just kind of like a flexion-based exercise. You kind of get a little more carryover in that regard from a functionality standpoint. So again, if you like some of these exercises, they're good add-ons as well at the end of a session. So if you want to just add some core midline work at the end of another piece, one of these is a good option: Renegade Row or the weighted deadlock or the Pallof press. All really good movements because they are very multifunctional in terms of having to resist flexion and extension at the same time, as well as resisting from rotation. So you kind of get all 3 components built into one movement. Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick cool down piece here. So we're gonna cool down, stretch out with one of the pieces that we did in the warm up and we just did actually before round 4. We're just gonna do that flexion extension yoke piece. So I'm actually gonna just change the orientation here a little bit to get a better view. So we'll go 45 degrees here. So we're gonna do 5 movement based and then we're gonna do 1 static. So again, alternate back and forth, little brief pauses, going through that flexion extension. There's 3. So again, just trying to get some of that movement back through the midline. Take a minute there, relax for a sec. So again, just moving through that flexion extension to, again, just kind of get some movement back through that midline. Might have gotten a little bit tight from performing those exercises. Static contraction will cause that, so we're just kind of moving through so we get some of that posture alignment back. You don't want to end up hunched over because that midline is a little bit more over engaged and kind of pushing into a little bit of flexion or kind of pulling down a little bit on the rib cage. So, and then last piece we're going to do here, we're just going to go through the same series, a little different, and we're going to do it a little bit more statically. So we're going to start off in flexion, so push it back, arms stretched out, and allow that lower back to kind of round out. And then we're going to switch into that extension. And we're going to hold this one statically as well. Just trying to create that length through the spine. You're gonna feel a little stretch on the midline on the front section as well. Good, and then one more time, just to relax things out. One more time in the flexion. And that's good there. So take a second there, kind of feel that out. If you need to do any extra stretching after, that's good, but again, we really didn't do too much from an intensity perspective as well as anything outside of the midline. Provides a little bit of stabilization for some of the other muscles, so just that quick stretch on the midline and we're good for our cool down. So you can take a second. One more little second here on some passive stuff. Just gotta feel things through, see how you're feeling. So that is everything for today. Hopefully you got through that okay. Again, if you needed to scale back and maybe you didn't quite finish your 5 rounds at this point, you're still kind of moving through, you needed some extra rest, that's cool. An easy scale on this one would just be to cut it back to 3 rounds. So if you got through maybe 3 on that time frame as we were going through and you were a little just behind, that's totally fine. Better to take that extra rest time if you needed to and keep that movement quality high. But hopefully you were able to follow along. You got your 5 rounds in that time frame, which is awesome. So again, we have a big focus there on that midline and on that core movement training there. Again, a quick reminder from the beginning that if you did sustain any injuries during this session, or you think you might have, just seek some medical attention and make sure to fill out the CF98. If you have any feedback or anything that you want to say, or drop any kind of feedback or any comments in the comments section underneath the video. And thank you again for watching. And a quick reminder, please subscribe to our channel if you like the content, or if you want to see anything else, or if you want it to pop up in your feed, just give it a quick subscribe and you'll get that on your algorithm there. So again, I'm James, PSP Kingston, fitness sports instructor, and just signing off here, and hope you enjoyed that session.
PSP Kingston, the health and wellness provider for the military community.